A late start for Chomish. Chomish had his head to himself at the top station on his branch line. He wasn't lonely there. He was sure that if he spent the night with the mainline engines, they'd complain about how often Chomish grumbled at them for making him late. Chomish hated running late. Whatever would Sir Topham Hatt say, he would wonder. Annie and Clarabelle had their own shed at the top station too. Every morning at 6:30, Chomish would trundle out of his shed, come pick them up, and bring them to the platform. One morning, Charlie came to Chomish's shed, but Sid didn't. Charlie drove Chomish out to the shed, coupled him up to Annie and Clarabelle, and brought them to the top station. Then he walked to one of the station benches, sat down, and closed his eyes. "What are you doing?" asked Chomish. Charlie didn't answer. He just opened his flask of coffee and sat around shipping. Chomish looked at one of the station clocks. It was nearly 7 o'clock. He looked at Charlie. Charlie was still sitting on the bench. Suddenly, he got up and went to the station building. Chomish was left wondering what Charlie was doing. The station master came out and began pacing the platform. Chomish watched him anxiously, letting off steam from his drain clocks. 7 o'clock came and went. "We're late," groaned Chomish. "Where is Charlie? The passengers will be cross, and the mainline engines will never let me hear the last of it, and Sir Topham Hatt—" Chomish watched, aghast, as I stepped onto the station platform. "Morning, Chomish," I said. "All ready for work, I see." "Yes, sir," said Chomish nervously. He looked at the clock. 7:03 a.m. Chomish gulped. "You won't mind if I warm up my pies in your cab, would you?" I asked. Chomish said nothing as I strolled contentedly aboard his footplate and placed my pies in foil wrapping on his mantel. Chomish wondered why I seemed to be in such a good mood. He watched as the station master continued to pace the platform. Several minutes passed, and I never said a word to Chomish. "I say," Chomish jumped. "Mind my pies, will you please?" I said to the station master. I left Chomish's cab and entered the station office. Chomish watched the clock. It was now 7:33. I came out of the office with Charlie. "He's going to scold the both of us at once," thought Chomish nervously. "Did you have a nice breakfast, Charlie?" I asked. "Two, actually," said Charlie. "First a bowl of porridge, then some kippers and beans." "Would you like a third?" I asked, taking one of my pies from Chomish's mantel. "No, thank you, sir," said Charlie. "I should be all right until lunchtime." Chomish couldn't stand the tension any longer. "I was ready at the regular time, sir," he wailed as he watched the minute hand on the clock reach 9. "That's a good engine," I said. "It's good to see you try and set an example to the mainline engines." Sid arrived. I offered him a pie and he accepted. "I've not had breakfast," he said. "I usually meet up with Charlie at the local cafe." Chomish was puzzled. Why was I not scolding Sid for being an hour late? 8 o'clock came, and Chomish heard Lizzie's whistle. I climbed aboard Annie, Sid and Charlie mounted Chomish's footplate, and off the train went. When Chomish reached the station by the river, he was surprised to find that the clock there was saying 7:06. "That clock's an hour behind," he remarked. "No, Thomas," said Charlie. "The one at the top station is an hour early. It hasn't been changed yet." "Changed yet?" asked Chomish. "It's daylight savings, didn't you know either?" asked Sid. "I knew," spluttered Charlie. "I just woke up and thought I forgot to change my clock, but I hadn't." And the crew explained to Chomish about daylight savings. Chomish seethed. "Why so cross, Thomas?" asked Charlie. "At least we got an hour's worth of rest." "Oh, I wasn't resting," hissed Chomish.